1 Corinthians 15 says that just as Christ has been raised from the dead, those in him will also be made eternally alive one day. Like, because Jesus resurrected 2,000 years ago, we in him will one day be resurrected eternally as well. Guaranteed. Romans 8, verse 30, it guarantees our glorification, meaning that moment we're made holy, made perfect, made whole before God. That day we see him face to face. It's as if it has already happened. Justification, sanctification, glorification, it's as if it's all already happened. It's that guaranteed. You have 1 Peter 1, 3 and 4 shares about this certain future inheritance in heaven that is kept by God for you. It's a certain inheritance coming in the future. 1 Peter said that. 2 Peter 3:13 reminds us of God's promise of a new heavens and new earth that is coming, that's full of righteousness. It dwells there. That means all of creation is going to be transformed. This is not all there is. And it's coming in the future. So you take all that together. Here's the point. You take all that together, the magnitude of what awaits us dwarfs present suffering. You hear that? Like, if all of that is coming, if all of that is guaranteed, the things that are in the future for us, all the magnitude of that dwarfs present difficulties. And listen, I know, I'm not denying reality here. I know life can get very hard. Even for some of you today, this Father's Day thing, it brings up a unique pain in your soul. For various reasons, whatever it is, and today hurts. I know life can get very hard, and as hard as life can be some days, it's not even close to how great it will be someday. Like, as low as it can get, as hard as it can get, today, tomorrow, next week, 10 years ago, as hard as it can get, it's not even on the same page, same wavelength as good as it will be someday in heaven. That's what Romans 8:18 reminds us of, that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us. That's why this hope we're talking about is what compels joy. That kind of hope. Because our hope is not doubtful, it's not fickle, it's not feelings-based. Our hope is guaranteed by God's character and God's promises to us. And if what we hope for is infinitely valuable and absolutely certain, then present joy is not just possible, it is actually rational. Like, if that's what we have coming for us, if that's what God is giving us, it's possible and rational to praise and rejoice today, that future will be far better than this today. Why wouldn't we be joyful? Listen, to not rejoice in that kind of hope would be to doubt either its value or its certainty. Like, if it's rational to have joy and rejoice in it, to not rejoice would then be, we're doubting its value, or we're doubting its certainty. That maybe it's not really gonna happen. Maybe God didn't guarantee it, or maybe you don't see the future resurrection in Christ as that big a deal. Of course you're not gonna rejoice if you don't believe it's gonna happen, or if it's like, that's not that big a deal to me. Of course you won't rejoice in it today. Or maybe you don't see heaven and see righteousness and even the fact that you'll see Jesus face to face, maybe you don't see that as actually more valuable than what we have here today. Well, then of course you're not gonna rejoice in what's coming because it's not that much better, if any. You see how tragic that is? That we see this as more valuable than what God is offering us in the future. That's tragic. That's why joy, it's almost a sense of an act of faith in God's promises. Because you have to look past this stuff right here. You have to look past good and bad here to see something future. And so you have to, in a sense, act of faith, choose to say, okay, God, I know you're bringing all this stuff. I know you're bringing all these things. And so God, I choose joy to rejoice in that certain hope. I'm not just choosing joy in spite of things. I'm choosing joy in that, in you that's coming. You've seen it too in your life, but I watch friends lose a spouse or lose children or get a cancer diagnosis or lose a job. And it astounds me every single time. I'll have a conversation with them personally, or they'll stand here on this stage at a funeral speaking, and I'll hear them say things like, it hurts deeper than anything I've ever hurt before. It's to my core. I'll never get over it. Yes, but my hope is Jesus. I can continue because of Jesus. And listen, it is overwhelming to me to watch that happen, to hear that happen when somebody who has gone through the hardest moment, the worst thing you can ever imagine, and they're still saying, my hope is Jesus. My hope is Jesus. Listen, that's maturity in Christ. That's not being wavered by the winds of life and the world. It's not being swayed by anything. It's confident assurance. That is one of the main markers of mature Christian living. That is maturity in Christ, to rejoice in hope through pain. To have joy in the midst of dark chaos all around you. That's a marker of mature Christian living. Because listen, how much easier is it? We all know this. How much easier is it to look at our present circumstances for measures of joy and happiness? Right? We look at how we feel that day or how things are going in our lives or whatever it is, right? We do that. We all do that. And it's easy. It's a lot easier to do that than it is to look for the unseen future promises of God, to find our hope there. It's easier to try to find it here than it is to find it there. But mature believers in Christ have learned how to find their joy in unseen realities. In the guarantee of resurrection in the future, in the guarantee of their glorification in the future, in the inheritance that they're gonna get in heaven that's kept for them there, in the new heavens and new earth where there'll be no more pain and sorrow and suffering. They know that's coming. That's where they find their joy. That's maturity. And so I'm talking to these people, trying to discern, like, how do you get there? And the thing I keep hearing over and over again is that it's not automatic. You don't just wake up one day and find that hope whenever the world comes crashing down on you. It's not automatic. This kind of Romans 12 rejoicing in hope is not automatic. It requires intentional focus and discipline to remind yourselves of all these truths every day, not just when you hit the worst moments. To remind and discipline yourself over and over and over, recalling to your heart daily these things that we possess in Christ. We're preaching the gospel to ourselves every day, reminding ourselves that Jesus lived, died, resurrected, ascended, and he's coming back one day to fix all this mess. We keep preaching ourselves that message, and that he did all of that. He gave us graciously, gave us all these things I just described, the substance of our hope. He gave us all of that. Why? Because he loves us more than we can ever imagine. And you keep preaching yourself that message till it sinks down into your heart. That is what grows your maturity.